Hello, people. Welcome again for another Saturday, roughly 1 hour with me. Maybe shorter today, we'll see. Okay. There are just a couple people here, but hello, Alfredo. Good to have you again. Say hello wherever you are and where you are, or continue to lurk. That's either is fine, but it's more fun if to see the chats. More fun for me anyway. Let's see. What do I want to introduce? Oh, so instead of doing my normal TDD development of this thing, hello, Softineo. Instead of continuing with my TDD, I started to do a little experimenting, and I realized this might be a good time to do a head-to-head battle between Xcode and AppCode, my preferred IDE. Now, it's not going to be a fair battle because I'm an AppCode lover. It would be better, maybe sometime I'll team up with somebody who's like a real Xcode wizard, and we can do things together and we can compare side by side, skill versus skill and tool versus tool. But I'm pretty good with Xcode, even though I don't use it every day. And like my fingers are fairly okay at the Xcode keyboard shortcuts. Before we get started, are there any just open questions? Otherwise, I'm gonna dive in. Questions about anything relating to iOS, technical agility, life, the universe, and everything. Here's my tribute to CocoaConf, one of the best conferences that ever was. If there are no questions or comments, and only a few people here, and that's okay, let's dive in. Let's see here. Let me make sure I'm showing everything. Okay. So, real quick ad is that next week, a week from today, I think, I'll be offering this class, doing TDD class, meaning you do the coding. Like here, you're watching me code. In the PubMob, I watch you code. It's fun. All right, so we've got Xcode up top. We've got AppCode down below. Let's dive in. You know, the first thing, so let me share a little bit about what I did here. I just, this is not the exact same project I've been doing, which has been a Mac command line tool I'm making. Because most of the time, most of us are working on iOS, I thought it would be better to take the class or the type that I'm interested in and its tests and drop them into an app, an iOS app project, because that's more realistic as far as like flow. It also takes longer to run tests, and that's something I want to talk about. So without further ado, I think I'm just going to start running tests now. If you are used to running tests by going over here and clicking this, the little test runner, or going up to the top and clicking it for the whole test case class, I mean, I always mess up when I do that. I encourage you to Command U to run all your tests, unless that takes too long. In which case, yeah, then go by the suite. But I'm just going to Command U, and we'll start with Xcode here. So Command U, and I have to call out the shortcuts because you can't see them. And building, and it launches the app, injects the tests. Hello, Janos94. Good evening to you. And there we go. So that took a bit of time. It launched the app. It injects the tests. It does one more thing Xcode does by default, which is to connect the debugger, to attach the debugger. And that takes time, and then it runs the tests. By contrast, let's do it in over here. Now over here, I don't think I can't just Command U. It's a different IDE. And it's set up right now to run the app. In order to run the tests, I'm going to edit the configurations and add an XE test thing to run all tests. And there it goes. It's off and running. It's building, it launches, and the tests are running, and it's done. That was very different. Did you see the difference in speed? Now, if I run again, you know, everything's warmed up and it's not going to rebuild, but it might be interesting. It might not be that different, but let's try. One more time. Command U. Okay, test succeeded. That was faster. That was definitely faster. Now watch here. I think it was done. Like I was waiting, but here, let me let's see the test results. Let's try this again. I'm gonna Control R. It's done. It's that fast. So by default, advantage AppCode. However, something I learned only recently, thanks to one of the Apple engineers tweeting, was that if we go into, not preferences, if I edit the scheme, if you edit the scheme and go to the test section and into the info tab, there is this thing, Debug the Executable. That's on by default. In AppCode, it does not attach the debugger unless you tell it to by saying Control D instead of Control R. Here, we can just say, you know what? I'm not interested in the debugger. I just want my test results. And let's see how much faster. That's fast. That's a lot faster. So that's a tip for you that I learned only recently that I think will make a big difference. And I hear from, like, I think it was in the last Twitch session, somebody from who with testing experience, but not so much doing Xcode and iOS stuff, said, wow, it just seems so slow. Well, this is one of the reasons it's slow, is Xcode, like I said, it launches the app, injects the tests, attaches the debugger, probably when it launches the app, it attaches the debugger and runs the test. We can drop out one of those steps by going into the scheme. Here, I'll do it without the shortcut. Edit the scheme. And in test, this is the thing. Turn that off. Your life will be faster. Let's do it again. Whoop. All right. So that helps even it out. You know, something else I want to point out is, like, where are the test results? Where are they? There they are. Now you can set your behavior to go to this panel when you run tests, so that it's a little closer to this. But I'm not going to. So that anyway, that's where it is. And this AppCode gives us more control over like what to see, whether we want to see failing tests only, or just the or all of them, passing, sort them, give us history of them, show timing of how long the tests took. It's pretty cool. It's very cool. But let's go now and let's say we want to get to the code that's under test. How do we do that? Well, probably just click here. But let's do a little navigation exercise. To go from, I'm going to remove this real quick. This is going to fall down, and I don't think I'm going to use the overhead. Here's a tip to go between test code and the code under test. In Xcode, I can hold down Command, Control, up arrow. Once goes to the visible interface of the place the code you were looking at. Once more goes to the code under test. So that's nice. So you just go blip blip and you're there. And to get back, you could just once to get to the interface and once to get back to the test. So boop boop and we're there. That's a win. Xcode is going to be the winner on this front. There is no jump to tests. There was a plugin for this. That is a nice thing about AppCode, is that there are real plugins that can do real things. But I was having a little trouble with the plugin to jump to navigate to tests, so I turned it off. So I'm going to call it win Xcode here. See, I'm trying to be fair. I'm not a total bigot, and I do want both tools to improve. Okay, so what I want to do, where we left off, is with some very duplicated code. You can look in either one. Extract problems takes the columns of my survey. For problems, it takes columns 3 to 6. It filters out anything that's empty, and it maps it into an array of strings. Same thing with the desires, except different columns. So this is calling out to be refactored, isn't it? And I want to do refactoring the small way, the way I know and the way I teach, which is to move in the smallest steps that I can verify. So, and that instead of like, oh, I'm just going to start hacking stuff, because I don't want things to be broken, or I want to minimize the amount of time things are broken. And the main reason for that, if you've ever worked on a big app, this is just a toy, but if you've worked on a big app where you're like, I'm going to change this, I'm going to add a field, or I'm going to add a parameter, and now I have to go change all the places, all the callers, and how long will it take to fix those up? Well, it depends. It depends how many things call it, and you're just going through and everything is broken. That's compiler-driven development is good, it's helpful, but I would rather avoid it. I would rather not break things, I mean, sometimes I do just to see where the problems are, but I would rather not break things. So moving in small steps, our goal is to pull this out and parameterize this and let's sort of leave the rest of this, right? We want to pass in this, except then call something else. So I'm going to move in small steps. This is a pattern you see a lot in tight refactoring, and that's to take something, extract a variable, extract a method, and then inline the variable back. So let's start. I'm going to take the first one here, and I want to extract variable. Now, how do we do that? There's refactor, extract to variable. It's really hard to get to. Of course, there's an easier way, and that is to two-finger click or context click. So that's better, but it's still a lot of, you see me mousing around, trying to land on the right thing. This is one of the big differences between Xcode and AppCode. Xcode is very mouse heavy. AppCode tries to offer shortcuts for everything. Anyway, let's extract a variable. And I'm going to call this range. And it created a problem. We can fix that, but first let me do the same. Oh shoot, I have the same thing open in both. Oh, this is my mistake. I don't want to have this copy open. I want to have the other one open. Let me duplicate this. I know it's going to have the same code that I just made. That's better, and it will have this that I'm going to put back. Sorry about that. Let me run tests just to warm this up and make sure it's fine. Okay. So this is what we got from doing an extract variable here. I'm going to do this. Nice thing about code is I can just click inside and use this extend selection to make my selection bigger or smaller. And now there are a few different ways I can get to the extract variable. One is to go up to the refactor menu, introduce variable, but you see it's showing me the shortcut, which is really easy to remember. Option Command V for variable. So let's do that in one step. Yeah. It suggested a name. It suggested a name. This is one of the best parts. That is a fine name. And what else did it do? I want to do this again. Okay, so here, refactor, extract a variable, and it adds all this stuff, and I have to type a name. Here, I'm going to extract, whoops, not a method, variable, and it suggests a name. It also prompts me if I want to declare it as a var, and if I want the type in there. Let's go ahead and add the type because this is something that's a little funky. It may be a problem with AppCode because we have two different problems here. Oh, and you see it added the return statement for me automatically. Like it figured out, oh, there are now two lines, I better add a return. Xcode not so good on that front. We have to say, you know what, please fix up, and it adds the return. Okay. Now a problem, though, that AppCode has is it seems not to have deduced the type correctly. If I say this is a closed range of ints, I think everything will be okay. And that's kind of, this is really long and convoluted way to get to an array of strings subsequence index. I don't even know what that means. But let's run tests. Did they go? I need to turn on a behavior that I normally have off. And this is going to be tests succeeds play sound per. Oh, I've got it on. I just can't pipe the sound out. Okay. Anyway, let's do that. Okay, so test succeeded. I didn't see that. And here also test succeeded. So a couple different problems here. One is that Xcode failed to add the return statement, but it does pick that up and you can make that a fix-it. AppCode added the return statement, so that's kind of a win, but it got the type a little funny. I had to specify, look, this is a range of integers, and I'm not sure why this is so convoluted. That's really weird looking. Now here's something else we can do, I think, is most of the time we want to work with implicit types in Swift. And I can say, you know what, remove that. But now the problem is, I think that it gets confused there again. So let's just keep the explicit type for now, especially because it's going to help with extract method. All right, so we've got some wins and some losses, some advantages and disadvantages on either side. But you saw one of my favorite things, which is that AppCode, when you extract a variable, it suggests variable names, and most of the time I can just go pick one rather than typing. It's very nice. Okay, so I'm pulling that range out as a variable so that now this is the method, or this, that we want to extract. Okay? It might be a little dicey because these are static functions. They're not methods exactly. But let's start again with Xcode. And I'm going to select the portion and extract method. Double click, refactor, extract to method. And it prompts me for a name. I'm going to say extract should have thought of this. Sorry. Extract range, extract columns. Open to suggestion. It's extract either problems or desires or whatever's specified, or well, not to spend too long on it, I'm going to say I'm just going to say extract. How's that? So it did it. It prompted me for the the function name, it decided on its own what the parameters would be and how they would, that there were going to be two parameters, both unnamed, and the order. And weird, it made it a file private instead of a private, and it sticks it above. This goes against everything, all my instincts that I want details down below. I want it newspaper style, where the stuff at the top of the newspaper is the important stuff, and the further down you read, it gets into the details. So I really want to pull this down. Let's do this again over here, this time AppCode. Now, get ready. I'm going to blow your mind. First, I'm going to Option Command M for method. And you see what it's done here. First, it's prompting, it pops up this whole dialog. It prompts me for the name. And I can see down here a preview of what it's going to be. I can change this. I can say file private if I want to, or I can set it to anything else. Private is usually what I want. It has given me named parameters, which I really want the range first. So I can say, select that, and I want to move this up, or option up arrow. Look at this. In fact, do I want the column? I can choose between having it named or unnamed. You see how it changes the preview down below. Here it's named. Here it's got an internal name but it's unnamed from the underscore. So I can choose what I want. This seems like a big win. And when I do it, it puts it below, not above. All right, so this is hands down AppCode is the winner on this front. Let me actually do something else. Let me do it again, but I'm going to keep the parameters in the same order. And I'll just keep it named. It looks a little different here between column, and range. And now I want to change my mind, and I say I want the range to come first, because I want to say extract and give it the range, and then have the column as the second argument. So to do that here, I mean, one way to do it is to break everything and go like this and use compiler driven. And it's not so bad because there's only one caller. Fix it up like that. There are steps to do this without breaking, which you can get from this book. Martin Fowler's Refactoring. Absolute must. Especially for us folks who don't have a lot of automated tools, not like we have in other languages. Yeah, I don't know, Janos. Janos94 asks, why the chat is so quiet? Probably everyone is so focused. Yeah, I am a little surprised. There are also not many folks here, yeah, thanks for speaking up. You can watch and be focused, or you can chat. Either is fine. So there's a way to change things to a different to rearrange the order without breaking everything. In fact, let me show you. Let me just put it back. And that is to create a new function. Well, no, actually, I won't show you. I'll just explain it real quickly. It's to create a second function, probably with a slightly different name so they don't clash, or maybe the name, we can sort it out. Reverse the order where one function calls, it's getting complicated. Let me show you. I'm going to copy and paste this. Copy, paste, and I'm going to create this other one here. It's a lot of keyboarding going on. So because the types are different, I think this will work. It was also maybe a little unsafe to just copy and paste, but that's okay. The other way we can do it, well, actually I should just see if this builds and then say, okay, now we want to change the callers over, but we want to change them one at a time. So I'm going to pass over the other one. I'm going to do this and run tests. And test succeeded. And then I can find each caller of the old one. Let's see. How do I do that? Find. Help me. There's a nice way to, here we go. Find call hierarchy. There we go. Click, 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 click. That's a bit, that doesn't seem to be the one I want. I'm a little confused. That's not what I was looking for. Did I do it wrong? I'm not sure. Well, in any case, I know the caller's right here. So I can now say, okay, let me change this up to swap those around, run tests. And now I can eliminate the old one. Should you do all these steps all the time? It doesn't take that long. You know, I slowed down to explain things. It doesn't take that long. And again, this lets you change each caller one at a time until finally all the callers of the old function are gone, and then you can delete the old function. This is the carefulness that comes with refactoring in small steps, is you don't break things. Keep it building so that when there's an interruption, John, we need you to work on this. I can say, fine, I can commit, I can even push. Like it could go straight into production because I know I haven't broken anything, rather than saying, oh gosh, I've got to put this all off and like start over. Okay, now let's do it here. I'm going to change in AppCode. This isn't the one, this is the one. I'm going to change, by the way, to see the callers, I can just click on it. What did I do? Command click. But now I'm going to do something, and I don't remember the shortcut for this. So I'm going to do Control T to pop up the Refactor pop-up menu, which brings up all my choices. I should just remember it's Command F6. But I never do. And here we go. This looks an awful lot like the extract method thing. You see, it lets me change, you know, should it throw? What's the return type? What's the name? Visibility. And here's the thing I want to change. I want to reorder these, and let's, in fact, change this so that it is an internal name only. Ready, go. Boom, done. Winner. AppCode. Change signature is fairly new. They introduced it for Swift, I want to say in January or so. It's made a huge difference for me. Love it. All right. Any questions so far, all you quiet folks? I've I pulled out the variable, I pulled out the method. Now I kind of want to fold the variable back in. Unfortunately, there is no inline support in either IDE. There is in AppCode when you're working in Objective-C, which isn't many of us anymore. You know, I don't touch Objective-C hardly ever these days. So I really asked, I know JetBrains is running to keep up in AppCode with every Swift change of a language they don't control, and what a pain that must be. But I would love it if they could bring inline. Inline. I want to inline this. That would be nice. Instead, I'm going to follow the steps from the book. In the book, you open up the inside flap and it shows list of refactorings, and you look up inline variable and what page it's on. I happen to have it bookmarked. And it has a list of things to check for when you're inlining. And particularly that there are no side effects, that it's immutable, right? We don't want to inline something and have something else change it and all this stuff. These are all things that should be done for us automatically, and maybe that's why it hasn't happened yet. Find the reference to the variable, replace it with the right-hand side of the assignment, and then delete the variable once we've replaced them all. That's my quick summary of the steps. So here, I'm going to copy this, paste it in. I expect this to pass. Yeah, so same thing here. So now we're on even ground. We get warnings on both sides. The warnings look a little different. You see, I've got a yellow thingy, and in AppCode, well, in Xcode, it shows it pretty nicely right there in place. But AppCode gives me a different view. I don't know if you can see, it's very small, but over here in the right gutter, there's a little yellow bar. So anytime there's something wrong, you'll get red bars, yellow bars. I think they're green bars also for like typos. So I can see in the file where problems lie, and I can click there and I'm there. So slight differences there. At this point, we can just, to delete the line, I have to go click, 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 and then delete. In AppCode, there's a command. Oops, that's not it, that's duplicate. There's a command to delete a line with a single keystroke. You delete lines a lot. I do. When I code, I delete lines quite a bit, and so it's nice to have it in a single keystroke. There is a way to set that in Xcode, but it doesn't come by default. Like there's an actual command there, but it doesn't have a keystroke assigned. So we've run tests. Every time, you make a little change, you run tests. It's got to be fast. And that's the main reason for what I showed you before of turn off the debugger. That'll help you so much. This, turn that off. Extract problems. So now extract desires. I'm going to be bold. And I'm going to say, I think this is just going to be like, oh, wait. There's one more change I want to show you. One more thing. You see this return statement here? It's really not necessary. And AppCode shows us, can you see that? It's kind of grayed out to indicate that it's in there, but you know, it really doesn't have to be there. If you look at the number of refactorings available, you may say to yourself, wow, Xcode has a lot more. But honestly, they're about the same, because all these things down below, well, there may be some things in here like convert to switch that I've never used that, so I'm not sure what that does. But most of the things down here are done in other ways in AppCode. Through these things called intentions. So they don't show up in the refactoring menu. Instead, you click here and this little light bulb appears and it says, you want to, return is redundant. Do you want to remove it? Most of the time, I get there in one shot with, I have to not think about the keyboard shortcuts. I have to just do it. Option Enter. It also, as always, oh, I'm sorry, Option Space. Wait, oh, I have Option Space mapped elsewhere. That's what it is. Anyway, a little misleading there, AppCode. We can remove the return in one shot, and this should still pass. So let's return it. Let's get rid of it. Okay. A little more and I'm going to wrap up. Let's just take a big, bold step here and say this is going to be the same thing as that, except I should be able to get rid of these lines. And this should still pass. Yep. Same here. Except in a slightly different place. Oh yeah, here's another thing. Now they're in a weird order. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm going to start deleting these methods. But I can change the order of things by saying, you know what, move this up or move this down. Can you see that? This extract helper, let's move it down. And so now it's down below. And that lets me keep these together. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing here. Paste. Take this and run tests. All right. So finally, I'm now left with these things that are called further up, and I really don't need extract problems anymore. The extract by itself is good enough. So what I want to do now is inline the method. Again, neither IDE wins on this front. We can just, I'm afraid we have to copy and paste, but it should still pass tests. It does, and once we do, then I can delete this one and run tests again. Okay, so now both IDEs are pretty much on the same footing. I'll finish it up here. So this one, extract desires. I'm going to go up to where it's called and paste this instead, run tests. And then get rid of that and run tests. I do want to rename this. Xcode goes through all this stuff to animate the rename, to make it cool looking. It's not really necessary. Actually, I'm not going to worry about renaming it. Besides, this isn't the actual project I'm working in. I think we've covered everything I wanted to cover. So you see, there are real advantages to working in small steps that AppCode has over Xcode. I partly wonder if that's one reason why iOS or folks working in Xcode tend not to work in small steps, is because the sort of the culture of the tool doesn't lend itself to that. Is there anything else I want to show you? Is there anything else you want to see in an AppCode versus Xcode battle? I may or may not be able to show you right away, but if there's anything you want to compare, I mean, this is just scratching the surface of both IDEs. One question that might come up is, if you use storyboards, what happens? And the answer is you double click and that'll open it in Xcode. And then you can edit there. So AppCode doesn't do storyboard editing, it passes it off to Xcode. All right. Well, there you have it. That is what I wanted to show you, the AppCode versus Xcode battle. As I said, I think that Xcode is very mouse heavy. AppCode is very keyboard friendly, suggesting shortcuts wherever you go. It doesn't do animations to rename. It's just like rename and do it. It's a lot more focused on speed and delivery, and the main winner, but the main thing that makes AppCode the winner is the ability in both extract method and in the change signature refactoring to say, you know what, let me change these parameters, let me move these around, let me rename them. Xcode doesn't give us any of those choices. And I want to be able to change my mind frequently, and I want to move in small steps. Okay. Take care. Next week, I will not be live streaming because I will be having my class instead, if anyone signs up. If no one signs up, maybe I'll stream instead. Who knows? But go to PubMob in the chat link and go check it out if you want to be part of doing TDD on your own machine in a group setting. With me watching. If that sounds weird, that too is worth checking out. Okay. That's it. Thank you, Janos. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you when I see you. I'll post on Twitter, and of course, you'll get the notifications if you sign up for notifications in Twitch anytime I go live. If you're watching this recording on YouTube, give it a like if you've watched this far, and hit the bell and do all the YouTube-y things so that you get notifications when I post new videos there. Hey, Capitan Bomba! Thank you for joining.